The emergence of Race Records marks a pivotal moment in the history of music and cultural expression in the United States. Originating as early as the 1900s to the 1940s, Race Records played a significant role in shaping the trajectory of African American music, commerce, and social dynamics. This video explores the history of Race Records, delving into their historical context, socio-economic implications, and cultural significance. The genesis of Race Records can be traced back to the post-Reconstruction era to the early 1900s, a period marked by the proliferation of racial segregation and systemic discrimination against African Americans. As Jim Crow laws swept across the South, Black communities faced institutionalized oppression and limited access to mainstream platforms to distribute their recordings to all white record labels. Independent record labels and entrepreneurs recognized the untapped potential of African American performers as talent and sought to capitalize on it through racially targeted marketing and distribution strategies. These same strategies was also the downfall for many African American artists. Around the 1800s and early 1900s, the performance of minstrel shows and vaudeville from Black artists was common within the community. Many African American performers would negatively depict the African American experience with exaggerated racial stereotypes and derogatory slurs. Blackface was also common among both African American and white performers during Broadway and stage performances. Many minstrel performers were both white and Black during the 1800s and early 1900s. Many African American minstrel performers were called coons and based their songs and performances for the likeness of white superiority. These racially motivated stage acts were often performed for an all-white audience. Although vaudeville had its share in perpetrating racial stereotypes among both white and Black audiences, vaudeville at the time was also known as circuits and often played coon and minstrel songs. Many vaudevilles offered dancing, singing, and comedy at the time. Many Black vaudeville shows in the community offered equal opportunity for employment among African American performers. The Griffin sisters were the first Black women to own vaudeville circuits. These two sisters protested against the harsh realities of minstrel shows and racist vaudeville. Their lives also consisted of performing for an all-Black audience in the 1900s. In the 1910s, phonograph companies were looking for new entertainment in the Black community. Despite being racially motivated, many phonographic companies portrayed negative stereotypes in the Black community through music. It was Mamie Smith, a Black woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, that broke all barriers to become the mother of blues. She was the first Black woman with her first published race record. With the help of Perry Bradford, she was able to record the first blues song from a Black woman in 1920. After that year, many other Black musicians came into the music scene. OK Records and Victor Talking Machine Company became the first recording companies to racially distribute music to an all-Black audience. These record labels often depicted racial stereotypes to get people to buy their race records. A lot of the major record labels are still the same companies that targeted African Americans and created racial barriers. The early years of Race Records were characterized by a diverse array of musical genres, including blues, jazz, gospel, and spirituals, reflecting the rich cultural tapestry of African American communities. Pioneering labels such as Black Swan Records, founded by Harry Pace in 1921, was an outlet to distribute music to the Black community. Harry Pace, a Black man, exposed the major record labels that racially stereotyped Black artists for sales and promotions. Harry Pace often received threats for his record label supporting the cause of black creativity in the 1920s. During 1924, he sold his record label to Paramount Records due to bankruptcy. Paramount Records played a crucial role in recording and disseminating the music of black artists to a broader audience. These recordings not only showcased the artistic prowess of African American musicians, but also provided a platform for cultural expression and addressing socio-economic issues. The history of race records extended far beyond the realm of music, influencing societal attitudes, economic dynamics, and the evolution of popular culture. For some African American artists, race records offered a means of promotion, public showcasing, and creative anatomy within the constraints of a racially stratified industry. Moreover, race records played a pivotal role in shaping the broader landscape of African American music, influencing genres such as jazz, rhythm and blues, gospel, and other African American music. While race records provided a platform for black artists to showcase their talents, they also underscored the economic disparities and systemic inequalities within the music industry. Black musicians often faced exploitative contracts, unequal compensation, and limited opportunities for mainstream recognition, highlighting the entrenched racism and discrimination that pervaded the entertainment business. Racist white moguls took advantage of black musicians that had the lack of knowledge with business management. Moreover, the commercial success of race records fueled the rise of white-owned record labels and distribution networks, further marginalizing black voices in the industry. During the early 1900s, white-owned record labels took advantage of the struggles of Jim Crow by discrediting black musicians from their royalties. OK and Victor Records were one of the few record labels to use derogatory ads such as blackface to distribute race music into the community. Columbia Race Records was also a platform to distribute music to an all-black audience. Columbia Records is still the same record label in this generation, yet time has changed. Mamie Smith, a black woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, was the first person to record a race record in the blues genre for an all-black audience. Many others came after her, such as Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Ethel Waters, and Louis Armstrong. Despite the challenges and injustices faced by African American artists in the era of race records, their contributions to African American music and culture endure as a testament to resilience, creativity, and cultural innovation. The legacy of race records lives on in the works of iconic artists such as Bessie Smith, Louis Armstrong, Robert Johnson, and Ma Rainey, whose music continues to influence generations with their soulful history. Moreover, the actuality of race records laid the groundwork for generations of African American musicians, shaping the trajectory of popular music and creating social change. In 1949, race records from the Billboard chart were changed to rhythm and blues. Liberal white musicians also had their own category of race records called hillbilly music that was targeted to an all-white audience. This was a marketing gimmick to both white and black musicians during Jim Crow. At the same time, some studios employed travel scots to record unpublished blues and folk songs from African American artists in the South without giving them credit. These songs were often from an African American musician that didn't publish their recordings. In 1949, a journalist named Jerry Wexler suggested that the derogatory race records should be changed to what we know as rhythm and blues. It didn't change the racial barriers in the music industry. Race records represent a critical chapter in the history of African American music, embodying the struggles, triumphs, and enduring legacy of African American artistic expression. From its harsh beginnings in the early 20th century, this still has an impact on contemporary music and culture today. Race records continue to serve as a reminder of the power of music to transcend barriers and challenge social norms.